Well, I learned a lot of things, but most importantly was that there are a lot of different boards, a lot of different commissions, a lot of different things that are happening at a local level, at a county level. There's a lot of districts that we have. I've got a Arapahoe Parks and Recreational District, for example, that are all run or mostly run by citizens, normal, everyday people that have an interest in doing that
Not
kind of thing.
elected, though.
Well, some of them are. Some of them are.
But overwhelmingly, like I live in the paradise of Boulder. They have 25 different boards and commissions.
Yep.
Each one has 5 volunteer spots on them. And a lot of them have serious authority.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we're talking about the zoning commission. So we talk about government a lot, and it's really sexy because you talk about what happens in Washington, what happens with the governor or maybe the mayor of Denver. But Colorado has over 5,000 governments. And most of those governments have boards and commissions that really do a lot of the work, and nobody knows who they are. Well, when government wants to grow, that's where it happens. And so to talk to us about it is the Councilman from Centennial, Don Sheehan. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Right,
Appreciate that.
I want to talk about the story. You seem like a nice enough guy.
I try.
Why would you run for city council of Centennial? Centennial's not a huge place.
No.
What kind of ego problem do you have that you need to be a city council member?
Well, it started out about maybe 3 years ago when I retired from what I did as a profession. I was in technology and what have you, and all of a sudden I've got lots of time.
So you're idle rich.
I'm idle. And there was a Saturday morning, it was the same day that they were having the Denver Day of Rock downtown. And there was a workshop that one of your people was putting on, Kathleen Chandler. So I figured, well, I'll come downtown, have breakfast on you guys, and then go down and watch some rock bands all day long, which is exactly what I did.
So Kathleen Chandler runs our local government project,
Right.
And her job is to try to tempt suckers like you into why it's important to get involved in local government. And yeah, it's fun to bitch about Washington, but you can have a huge impact. And let me do the quick plug. So on tax day, the 15th of April, from 6 p.m. to 7:30, she's going to be doing another thing here. So go to thinkfreedom.org. That's thinkfreedom.org and learn some more about this. It is actually pretty interesting. What did you learn at this?
Well, I learned a lot of things, but most importantly was that there are a lot of different boards, a lot of different commissions, a lot of different things that are happening at a local level, at a county level. There's a lot of districts that we have. I've got a Arapahoe Parks and Recreational District, for example, that are all run or mostly run by citizens, normal, everyday people that have an interest in doing that kind of thing.
Not elected, though.
Well, some of them are. Some of them are.
Overwhelmingly, like I live in the paradise of Boulder. They have 25 different boards and commissions.
Yep.
Each one has 5 volunteer spots on them. And a lot of them have serious authority.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we're talking about the zoning commission and the liquor board and all these things, the library district, they all have it on. And I wonder who applies for these positions.
Well, if you think about it politically anyway, I think you get a lot of folks that are government-oriented, think that government potentially is the answer to all the ills of the world. They're activists, and they're out, and there you are, the people that are applying for and joining these boards. And one of the things that Kathleen talked about was it's probably important to have a balance on those boards. You don't want one political side or the other to be dominant on any of those kind of boards. And so her encouragement was go find some of these boards, find out when they're taking applications, and apply, which is what I did.
Common sense people who actually might know how to do some arithmetic should be on these boards.
Yeah.
Well, that's a terrible and stupid thing to do, and let me tell you why.
Of course.
Because we have lives, and those of us who believe in less government, we feel very uncomfortable getting involved in government that tells other people how to live, that makes decisions for other people. Whereas folks on the progressive side, they seem to love to tell other people what they can and cannot do. And therefore, this is a way they don't even have to be elected, and they can be on the energy board for the city of Aurora and say we need to end fracking here. So all the fractivists go on to that. Even in Greeley, the city of Greeley had an advisory board that works for the city council, and the fractivists took over. In the middle of Weld County, oil and gas utopia USA, and said, no, we need to ban fracking. And the city council had to go, no, we're reversing your decision. And it really just showed me how these boards and commissions are really tilted to one side.
And that's very true. And that's all the more reason why you need to have, I think, a balance. Maybe, I'm partial, but a balance maybe a little more weighted on maybe the conservative side that does have the ability to do the mathematics and can look at things and understand that every action is going to have some kind of a reaction potentially down the way. You need to be careful with what you're doing, the way you're spending money. So
I'm thinking about where did Opie and Andy live? In Mayberry.
Mayberry, yeah.
So I'm thinking that Aunt Bee would volunteer to be on the library board because she wanted Opie to have good books to learn from.
I think that's pretty good.
I got a sense that, and she would do a great job, and then the next person would come and do a great job because they care. Then I think Saul Lewinsky taught progressives, if you want to take over, if you want revolution, you get into the machinery of government. And now with the tens of thousands of progressives inside these boards and commissions, this is where government is really taking off. And we have seeded that. The Aunt Bees don't have a stomach for it anymore. And conservatives have jobs, they have lives, they have families to take care of. This is a couple hours a month or something that they don't want to do. What do you say to them to convince them that this is worth saving the government in your backyard?
A couple hours a month really is not all that much if you think about it. The investment is really not all that significant. And it actually can be quite a bit of fun.
What do you mean it can be a bunch of fun? No, I don't buy it.
Okay, so it's an opportunity for you to learn a little bit about how your government is operating. Centennial is an example. We're 110,000 people. Our budget is about $100 million a year. I had no idea. I had no idea going in how much money came out of my pocket to go to the city.
Now, you volunteered to be on a board before you ran for city council.
Exactly.
What board did you volunteer for?
The senior commission. Gray hair.
Oh, got it. And what did the senior commission do for the city?
Well, the senior actually did two things. They would create some educational and entertainment kind of functions aimed primarily at the senior community in Centennial. That was part of what we're supposed to be doing. The second aspect of it was we were to advise city council on things that may be important to the senior committee or senior community. And if there's any ordinance that comes up in front of city council, if there's any kind of change maybe that we might want to propose, that's what we were supposed to tell
Did it have any real influence, or was it just fluff?
I don't want to say it did not have influence, but there was an element of fluff. We're still trying to figure out exactly what the senior commission is going to do or should do, that kind of thing.
Wouldn't it be great if you got on one of these boards and commissions and you ended the board or commission?
It could be, yeah.
I mean, because
There's
it
no reason
grows
for it anymore.
and it grows and it grows.
And it grows, yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if you took care of a situation so that you no longer needed it? But tell me why you found it fun or interesting.
I'm retired at this point, so I'm idle. I've got plenty of time on my hands, and I was in public sector all my life. You would read about what's going on maybe in Washington or what's going on in downtown Denver in the newspaper or see it on the TV news. But I didn't really have much of a sense of what government was and how it operated and how it all came together. Being involved with the board, on the other hand, we're working with city council. We're talking to them, and we kind of get a much better idea, bless you, much better idea of what it's all about and how it works. it's a brand new learning experience. It's a brand new door that was open, an opportunity, and there it was.
I ran for the RTD board. Actually, it was a huge government, but nobody knows about it, still don't. And it was a 4-year sentence, and it was transformational for me.
Yeah.
I learned more about how government works.
Yes.
I learned how government doesn't work. I learned what the real game is and how moneyed interests move the chess pieces around in government. It was fascinating. I mean, you can listen to Fox News as much as you like, but I tell you, when you are there and you see it, that is the education.
Oh, absolutely. We used to have, in private business, we'd have our meeting in the morning at 9 o'clock maybe, figure out what we're going to do. You would go execute that at 10 o'clock, and by lunch you're celebrating your success. Not in government. You're going to have this happen, then you're going to have a study session. And then you're going to have a meeting about it, and then you're going to have a public hearing about it, and then you're going to vote on it. And it takes considerable time. And I think that's mostly because it is a public institution, and you are spending public money. So it makes sense. But you have to adjust a little bit to that pace. It's a whole lot different than what I was accustomed to anyway.
So what I get frustrated with is we know that Colorado is taking a sharp turn to the progressive left.
Yes.
We're seeing this, and a lot of people who believe in people's right to decide their own futures, to make their own decisions, are angry about all this. So what do? Well, they get angry. And then what do? They get angry. And then they get some more angry. And then they talk about why our guy didn't win for governor or president or whatever. And I'm thinking, if you took just a tiny bit of that anger and instead got involved in your local government, you just walk in and go, you have any openings on the boards and commissions? Your one little bit of action will have more impact in your backyard, where most of government that affects our lives actually takes place. We interact with our local government every day in every way,
right.
And we interact with our federal government not that much, and our state government a little bit more. But if you took that, you're actually being part of a response. You're being part of fixing it instead of just complaining about it. But I believe my side, limited government side, I don't know if people really want to do what you did and take on a couple hours a month to give it a try. Tempt them into this. So Kathleen's doing this training again,
yes.
April 15th at 6 p.m. at the Independence Institute. Check it out at thinkfreedom.org. How do you tempt them in just to listen?
I would say that there's a variety of different opportunities for anybody, depending upon what your interests are. For example, Arapahoe Parks and Recreation serves the park area where I live in eastern part of Centennial. A lot of folks on that board are bike enthusiasts, they're runners. They enjoy maybe working with the landscaping. If that's something that's interesting to somebody, here's an opportunity for you to leave a legacy behind, possibly, and join a group like that and do something good. Maybe you're interested in whether or not an old bank on Arapahoe Road ought to be turned into a gasoline station, which is happening in Centennial. Maybe that's interesting to you. Our Planning and Zoning Commission looks at that kind of thing and studies it and understands what the impact will be in our area, and then they pass that information along to us.
And if you want to understand why small businesses have such a hard time, get involved in local government.
Exactly.
And you will see the minutia any small business has to go through to open up their doors, and the mother may I that they have to do to boards and commissions, and then the city council, and then the county commissioners, and then all the regulations, and you'll get an idea of what's stifling employment, what's stifling business growth. It really is an eye-opener, and you get to understand on a real granular level
absolutely
how government is dysfunctional and where it does and can work well.
Go talk to anybody that tries to run a restaurant after this pandemic. They're all, a lot of those guys aren't going to be around. I talked to a guy the other day that he's been in the business for 40 years. He says, hey, county government, state government, Tri-County Health, I'll take my time and come talk with you to explain what the impact of what your rules and regulations are going to be going forward, what the impact is going to be on me and the people that I employ and the service that I provide to my customers. It's a big deal. But having his 40 years of experience to help shape those rules is probably a good thing. And you can do the same thing if you're on a board or a commission as well.
I think about Tri-County Health and the economic demolition they have done.
Yeah.
Nobody there is elected. There is no accountability. You cannot unelect them. They were all appointed because it's a board and commission.
Right.
So imagine if there was just a couple of you on that board, how much could have been saved in Centennial if we had better people on the county commission. Hey, thank you for doing what you're doing. Thanks for being a city councilman.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate people who do it. Please don't raise our taxes.
I want to talk to you about that.
Yeah, we'll talk later. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
If you enjoyed that conversation, by all means, click one of these other great programs. We have the best conversations with the most fascinating Coloradans. And subscribe to our channel. Just click down below and hit that little bell button too. You don't want to miss a single show.